There are telltale signs that you're getting kicked out of ketosis. Okay, the obvious things, you're measuring your ketones. You're gonna see, I'm out of ketosis. But other than that, you really need to look at sort of buy signs, little signs that your body is giving you, telling you, oh, wait a minute, you know what? I'm not in ketosis anymore. I don't think we're in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. Let's see what's going on. So let's break it down. Jumping right in, the first one, you're peeing less. It's kind of funny, and you may not be paying attention to it, especially if you've been doing keto for a while. And that's kind of the curse of this too, right? The longer you've been doing keto, you're probably not testing your ketones anymore. You're probably not peeing on the urine strips. You're probably not testing your blood or your breath meter, right? It's just, you've been doing it for so long. So it becomes even more important that you start paying attention to these buy signs. You don't realize it, but when you're on keto, you've probably established such a baseline of it, you don't realize you're peeing a lot. Okay, your liver glycogen, the carbohydrates that are stored in your liver, when they leave your liver, they bind with water and that triggers you to pee more, okay? Well, you always have your liver glycogen sort of being mildly refilled, whether it's from little bits of carbohydrates you consume or it's just from glycogen that's in your muscles that's going into the next staging area within the liver. Point is you're always kind of at the bottom level of the tank in the liver glycogen, so you're always kind of excreting that glycogen along with water that's being bound to it. When you all of a sudden fill up your liver glycogen and you're not excreting that as much, well, you're not peeing as much. That's why when you first start ketosis, you notice you pee a lot more, right? That's because all of a sudden you're draining this glycogen and it's happening at a very fast rate. So one of the first things that you can recognize is, oh man, I'm not peeing that much. I usually pee like once an hour, I'm peeing like once every 4 or 5 hours, or I'm going throughout the night without peeing. It's a good indicator that maybe you're slipping up and having a few too many carbs. Additionally, there is a potential that ketones themselves are a diuretic. There's some evidence that's starting to point that way, right? Some of it's anecdotal, but the point is that ketones may be triggering us to actually urinate a little bit more anyway. So when ketone levels go down, we potentially lose that anti-diuretic effect. Anyhow, number 2 is a very important one that ties in directly with number 1, and that is the fact that the dry mouth, that mild dry mouth that you have, kind of goes away. And suddenly you're not as thirsty as you always are. Again, you've been doing this for a while, so it's easy to be like, it's just my normal. I usually drink a bunch of water. Then all of a sudden you realize, wow, like I'm not drinking a gallon of water today. What's going on? The more carbohydrates you have, you actually crave less water. Okay, it has to do with that renin-angiotensin system. The same kind of thing. Because you're peeing more, normally it's sending a signal to your brain to replenish and drink water. That's why it's so important to have electrolytes. That's why I always talk about that. It's very, very important. Okay, that is so critical when it comes down to replenishing everything. So when all of a sudden you have carbohydrates that are coming in your system, you're not depleting those water stores as fast, right? It makes it very, very just easy to stay hydrated, so you don't have to drink as much water. That's again, like when it comes down to keto and fasting and things like that, that's always why I'm a big fan of consuming electrolytes, because you want to keep those levels up and keep that hydration up so that you're not having to constantly drink water and deplete minerals constantly. Otherwise, you're just drinking water, flushing it out constantly. I put a link down below for Element, which is my preferred electrolyte. My personal favorite flavor is the mango chili flavor and also the lemon habanero. But there's a link down below that you can get a free sample pack of Element electrolytes, a free sample pack. So that gets you like 8 sample packs to try it. You just pay shipping. So this is really cool. It's awesome for my viewers, for my subscribers. Big thank you to Element. They're a tremendous supporter on this channel. So you go to drinklmnt.com/Thomas. Again, drink, DRINK, lmnt.com/Thomas, and that'll take you to a page where you can get a free sample pack and try these out. So again, if you're fasting, if you're doing keto, it just makes life easy. It gives you something to sip on. The lemon lime flavor is awesome, the mango chili. Anyhow, that link is down below. Check them out after this video, and a thank you to Element for the support. Okay, this next one is hunger. When all of a sudden you start getting hungry again. Because the nice thing is, normally with keto, you don't feel too hungry. You see, on a typical caloric restriction diet, what ends up happening is as you get leaner, you have less leptin, okay? And less leptin is going to be less satiating. So less leptin signaling your brain is gonna make you're gonna feel hungry. It's kind of interesting, right? It's like you start losing weight and your body kind of like wants you to eat more. It's like, I'm so hungry because I'm reducing calories. With the ketogenic diet, there's a study that was published in the journal Obesity Reviews that took a look at a lot of different data. It found, wow, the ketogenic diet's different. When people lose weight with keto, they actually get satiated because the ketones are present and they're offering some kind of satiety effect. There was also another study that was published in the journal Obesity that found when exogenous ketones were added in, it ended up decreasing the levels of ghrelin. Ghrelin's the hunger hormone. So it was through multiple avenues making people less hungry. When all of a sudden you start having carbohydrates come into the equation again, as they start creeping in, because you know they do, suddenly you don't have the protective mechanism of the ketones keeping you satiated, and you slip right into just the general world of caloric restriction, which guess what? Then all of a sudden your leptin levels are out of whack and all of a sudden you're craving food again. You're sending a signal to your, so if you start noticing, okay, I'm peeing less, I'm not thirsty anymore, and I'm hungry, you need to do a quick gut check. The next one is a simple one. No more fruity breath, okay? The reason I say this, not everyone experiences keto breath, but keto breath is acetone, which is the third ketone body. We have beta hydroxybutyrate, acetoacetate, and acetone. And acetone is the one that is excreted through the breath. And it's very hard to measure person A to person B because we all have different levels. But one thing is for sure, okay, it is one of the first ketone bodies to go away when we drop ketosis. So if you normally have keto breath and all of a sudden it went away, then you may need to check some things out. Not everyone gets keto breath, so don't trip out about it. But if you normally do and all of a sudden it's gone, recognize it. The next one is all of a sudden you're feeling brain foggy. Now, what I want to caution you with is having one day where you feel brain foggy is one thing. Having a couple days, but when you start noticing that more than every other day you feel brain foggy, it is either time to make sure you're in ketosis or just flat out take a break. Okay, a couple of things can happen. There's a study that was published in the journal PNAS that found that when ketones are high, when ketones are present, it improves network stability. It means the regions of the brain can communicate with one another better. You have more network stability. It's a more stable brain. Think about the regions of your brain quietly whispering to each other, being able to transmit signals. Now, imagine your brain screaming, different regions screaming at one another, blah, 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 blah. See how it's noisy and chaotic? Quiet, simple network transmission, being able to have those patterns, that's what we want. As soon as ketones are kind of out of the equation, that can get disrupted and make us feel, well, foggy is the perfect word. Another thing is our glucose tolerance decreases. Okay, we've been in keto for a long time. Our brain is like maybe 60% or so running on ketones. Then all of a sudden the ketones drop and you're left with the brain trying to use glucose, but it's not as efficient at using glucose as it normally is. So it's like, let me see what I can try to do with this glucose here, but I'm not that good at it right now, so give me a couple days and you feel foggy, right? Anyhow, moving on. If you feel irritable, this is the big one for me. Unstable mood. I feel wacky. I feel kind of out of place. I feel like I can't really, I don't want to say I can't control my emotions, but I definitely feel more moody. If you look at most like mood disorders and things like that, you see a lot of it ends up being an issue with inhibitory neurotransmitters. So with GABA, with not having enough gamma-aminobutyric acid. I'll explain how that generally works. GABA being an inhibitory neurotransmitter, it sort of protects the brain from going into hyperdrive. What I was always taught was that a quiet brain, a relaxed brain, is a fast brain. People think that you want this high-wired brain. A loud, noisy, disruptive brain is not a clean operating brain. With inhibitory neurotransmitters like GABA, they're like a governor. They kind of regulate so that the brain doesn't go into like super overdrive, making you feel, well, unstable. There's a study that was published in the journal Epilepsia that found that ketones may actually improve the activity or what are called astrocytes. Now, astrocytes play a very big role in this whole GABA production process. See, they're responsible for helping glucose get to the neurons, but they're also responsible for glutamate getting converted into glutamine, which can get converted into gamma-aminobutyric acid. You hear me talk about glutamate a lot of times on my grocery haul videos, like monosodium glutamate and things. Glutamate is excitatory, like it triggers that excitement, that amp up of the brain. Okay, well, glutamate needs to convert into glutamine to get converted into gamma-aminobutyric acid to be more stable. Well, there's another study that was published in the journal Epilepsia that found that ketones played a role in improving how glutamate converts into glutamine more efficiently and ultimately into GABA. Okay, so ketones could be playing a role in the efficiency of how we take that crazy kind of exciting glutamate and make it go through the process of becoming an inhibitory neurotransmitter that can make us feel more stable. Lastly, this was a big one for me. If you normally suffer from allergies and you don't really think about it, and then all of a sudden your allergies come back, it's a very important, I was in ketosis for a couple of years straight, and then out of the blue, I noticed my allergies came back with a vengeance. I didn't think much of it. I'm like, I must be getting older, what's going on? And then I realized, wow, you know what? I actually have been bouncing in and out of ketosis, and it kind of made sense. And when you look at the data, you can see how it works. So when you have an immunoglobulin like IgE, like for an allergen, it binds to a mast cell, let's just say pollen. Okay, it binds to the mast cell. And then the cell sort of reacts. So when that mast cell is responding to an antigen, it goes through what's called degranulation. This degranulation, basically it flecks it all apart and releases a bunch of histamines. And guess what histamines do? Achoo, achoo. They make you sneeze, they make you feel miserable, they make you, runny eyes, all that stuff, right? So we don't want this massive release of histamines because that's how it makes us feel allergies. Well, there's a study that was published in the journal Nutrition and Metabolism that found that beta-hydroxybutyrate actually acted upon mast cells to stabilize and make it so that there wasn't as much degranulation. So less degranulation means less histamine response. So if you have ketones present and they were keeping allergies somewhat at bay, and all of a sudden your allergies come back, that could, once again, hypothetically, be an indicator that maybe you're out of ketosis and that's why your allergies are coming back, because you don't have that sort of degranulation inhibition or mellowing out. Anyhow, just to recap, okay, you're not peeing as much, you're not thirsty anymore, you're starting to feel hungry again, you feel like you're brain foggy, you feel like your mood is not very stable, you don't have that fruity breath anymore, and then lastly, you feel like your allergies are coming back. So as always, keep it locked in here on my channel. Don't forget to check out that free sample pack of Element down below in the description. Big thank you to them and a thank you to you for the continued support of our sponsors on this channel. I'll see you tomorrow.